Hi everybody, Paul McFarlane here again with the Chiat binder, although not so much the binder because I've pretty much covered most of the stuff. Not all. Oh my gosh, we're in 20 whatever videos. I'm just still scratching the surface because this obsession runs deep. And remember, what is this worth watching for? Why should you watch this? To remind you what greatness is in thinking, strategy, writing, design, and results. And if you're also younger, excuse me, and you're trying to set your own standards, where does goodness lie? Where do you find it? How to identify it when you see it? And can you reproduce it in your own way? This is career advice too. But it's also talking to any business and any brand that's trying to make a difference and stand out and become famous. Because if you're not standing out and you're not trying to become famous, good luck. Chiat did it the best, and sometimes still does. Last time we talked about my relationship with Lee Clow, and again, I skimmed the surface because it's really, really deep. But here's something kind of fun when I was there. Lee's business card at the time. There you go. And even a blank one that was up at reception. He had blank ones, you know? Because sometimes you put a company, message out, and you put a blank business card without a title. That was the way. And let's see, anything else in here that anyone would appreciate? I should have Ellen Nable's card in here from Capos, but doesn't look like I do. I should have, let's see. You know what's possible? It's possible I actually lost. No, I didn't. Richard Leyland. George Rice and Sons. They printed all of Chiat's stuff. George Rice and Sons. I mean, those are people who understood quality. Wow. What else do I have in here besides that? That's enough. So what are we going to talk about today quickly? Talk about Jay and my relationship with Jay. Yes, Jay. The thing about Jay, if you don't know anything about Jay Chiat, the life and legacy of Jay was, to me, was less visceral than Lee and more up here, even though wasn't he a Scorpio? My relationship with him is because it wasn't as clear how much he wrote and how much he creative directed, even though he did do some. And when I was coming up, it was his name on the door. In other words, it was his way or the highway. It was his sort of Steve Jobs, like, it's my culture and I care about it. So in other words, when they moved to new offices, he was driving it. When they changed their organization, he was driving it. When account planning was going to be a thing, it was his vision. He was a fucking visionary. Mercurial and all that, but he was a visionary. He was an actual true leader. A true leader can entertain a new idea. And Jay Chiat, as a leader, was always looking like that. To the next thing, to the next thing. Never satisfied. I think I got some of that from him. So anyway, 2 times that I had an interaction with Jay. One was in person with the Rizzoli book. And the second was when TBWA was sold. And those emails are printed out and they are in a different file. Basically, when I met him the year after this came out, I think it was, this came out in 1990, so it might have been 1991 or 92, when I went to New York to hunt down Jay, because I decided I wanted him to sign this. Now, the second time that I met Lee, he signed this book with something interesting. Here, Paul, to my only fan, lovely. To my only fan. Really? I think he just liked to think I am his only fan. And here, I treasure this one. Paul. Happy reading. Best. J. Chiat. Look at that. Look at that. Exclamation point, happy reading. Written on an angle, you know. I just loved his the way he wrote his name. You know, like a one flow. That we are our signatures. I write mine mirror backwards, you know, like Leonardo. So anyway, I called and I booked the trip like 2 weeks in advance. And I just found out, I said, I'd like to get my book autographed by Mr. Chiat if he's going to be around, if Jay's going to be around. And they said, probably, but you never know. And isn't that the truth? So I went up to New York, and they were on, I guess, the Madison Avenue offices then. And I called from my hotel, and they said, yeah, he'll be in, and he knows you're coming. And I tried to say, well, Lee knows who I am. I'm not sure he called Lee, but, you know, Jay. So I had this with me in my satchel. Came to the front office, and then receptionist Carol brought me back to his office. He just spun around really quick and said, so, you're Paul? I said, yeah. I said, I'd love your autograph in this. And he said, sit down. I have to go, I have to run in. I have to get a suit, and we can go catch some lunch. You got time? I said, yeah, sure, anything. I canceled my plans, right? And I told him kind of like what I've told you, what Chiat Day meant to me in some depth. And he was taking it and taking it in. And he just kind of said this usual thing. He says, that's great, but you know, we've never been about the past. We're always about the future. I said, yeah, I get that. And I asked him where you're going to be going with it. And he was talking about, you know, email and the coming internet, you know, kind of stuff of things and different ways of working. And I was just drinking it in. And he said, well, let's talk as we go. So we walked out, and we're just talking. He's asking me questions about my agency and whatnot and things I was going to do. And got a cab pretty quickly, and we went, and I just waited inside. He ran in and came back out with a suit. I reminded him about his story that he used to tell clients things like, hey, we've had 2 meetings. We can't have any more. And they'd say, why? Because you've seen both my suits. Or 6 meetings or whatever. Yeah. He's went to Rutgers, you know, he's a New Jersey guy. And he always had kind of New York sensibility, but he yearned to have a suntan in LA, you know, all that. But I think it was his first wife. He was divorced twice by the mid-'80s, so he's a little intense. So anyway, I had this with me. We go to lunch, this little hole-in-the-wall place. It was a Thai kind of Southeast Asian thing. And it was interesting. I thought for sure he'd be the kind of guy pulling his phone out all the time, checking messages. But he was intensely talking like I was a reporter, talking about the technology and the human factor and what account planning had changed. Like he was just rehearsing his speech all the time, which is really, really cool. And again, he asked me about what kind of clients I had and when I was growing. If I had multiple offices, if I was going to go global. And I said, I didn't have any plans for that. And I just cared about doing the great work. And I told him how I'd visited, you know, George Rice and Sons and, you know, and went to the agency in LA, went to the San Francisco office, and met all the people. I was like touching my heroes. And he was like, like that, you know. He says he never met Bill Bernbach and he wished he had. You know, it's like, well, yeah, okay. So we're on 2 different paths. But he was just really curious why I was so passionate about his agency. I asked him about his relationship with Guy Day, you know, and he smiled. He spoke so fondly of his people. No matter what he would do, when he would talk to outsiders about the people in his agency, he would speak with such love and fondness. It was amazing. I learned so much from him. He's great with a quip. He always had the, well, shoot, this thing here right here. Quotations from Chairman Jay, right? And this was printed by George Rice and Sons, you know. It's like, no one is indispensable. Sharon, where are my car keys? All these quotes, you know, heard in the halls. Chiat's hit the fan. We're all one big peer group. How do you think I got to be president? If the traffic people aren't running this agency, who is? I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at the situation. Do it like this. Why'd you do it like that? An office shouldn't be a reward. There are only two reasons to call in sick: death in the family, and I can't remember the other one. 8:45 p.m. Where the hell is everybody? I can't stand closed doors. Come in and close the door. Absolute contrarian. But a contrarian to society and to business. But also he had that wonderful, predictable, whatever he would say the opposite at some point. I find that very cool. So anyway, we were just talking about this and that. And when we came back, he came in, we were talking, went right back to his office, and he said, "Oh, the book." And he said, "When we give you one?" No, this is the one I want, because Lee had signed it. No, had Lee? No, Lee hadn't signed it by then. I'm told the story, but no, Lee signed it later. I said, "No, this is mine." He says, "Oh, okay, whatever." And he just said, "What's your favorite page?" And I said, "The one that you're about to sign." She just smiled. But I actually told him I liked the consistency, even though the sophistication, from, we're going to get into this book, and we're going to do case history. So these things are going to go on for a long time. Equitable savings, from that, all the way to, what's the last thing in here, the Nissan stuff. Everything in this book. There's almost nothing in this book that I would say is not great. That's the thing about the Rizzoli book. I just call it the Rizzoli book because it says Rizzoli. And, when you look at the wraparound cover, you show me one thing here that is not really amazing. And didn't make that client famous. California Cooler made him famous. Reebok, that was probably the most interesting campaign they did. Nissan during those years. Apple, Nike, even 9X for the time when that was a thing. The racetrack, well, that's a local thing. Olympia Beer was famous. Alaska. In case you don't know what this is the racetracks, the harness racing. And then this is Olympia Beer. This is Home Savings. This is Alaska Airlines. This is Mitsubishi TV. And this, of course, is Great Idea, Honey. Pizza Hut. Yeah, UBU. If you don't know this stuff by now. So, I miss Jay. I miss Jay's presence in the industry. There are people in the industry now who disrupt by saying, "Oh, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing." We know who those people are. And we have the people, so great team, great team, great team. But people at the top who are actually speaking and talking about what's next and questioning the present. On my site, at the bottom of the front page, if you just scroll, you'll see a young girl, prepubescent, in that beautiful state of not quite. And it says, "The future questions the present." The future in me is questioning the present of me, and the future of this industry should be questioning the present. But I don't see much questioning. I don't see a current young leader of an agency talking about anything much more, like even the agencies that I like and respect, and there are a handful of them, they mostly talk about themselves and how clever they are. Even when they're being self-deprecating, it's about them. I don't see the only people talking about the future and the state of the world are the charlatans and the bullshit artists and liars and snake oil people, talking about the death of advertising and how the metaverse is going to change retail and so on and so on. Those are the people getting all the noise. The people who actually have ideas, who have visions of new things for the industry. What's going to change the agencies? Jay was responsible for so many things that we take for granted. In fact, even email, account planning, things like that he got going. Chiat Day's first website was in, 1992, 93? The Chiat Day Idea Factory. Remember that? Check that in your Wayback Machine. But I think what the industry is really missing, and I say the industry is not just ad agencies, it's marketing, it's business in general, is missing rebels. Real pushers. I mean, Elon Musk, okay, what he's doing with his products is sort of like that. I can respect that. But as far as people in the industry of marketing, business services, advertising. There aren't many people, other than just a few bloggers like you know who they are, and me, who are talking about it from where we are, with our perspective and our history. Mine with the Global Fortune 500, you know, but the people who are out there running large companies, big agencies, powerful agencies, who are talking about what's coming. There are people in the industry who say, like, oh, you know, you got to be nice to people, and kindness is important, and go team, and, you know, don't kill an idea, you know, just don't fight for perfection, you know, just get something out there and learn from it and then come back and make it better. I'm still waiting for one example of that. Jay Chiat was a rebel. He was burning with a passion for something new and better all the time. Not good if you're married to him, I guess, but the point is that desire for something new and better, and knowing that talent had to be there to bring the world forward through an ad agency, through a brand, through a business. You have to have the vision, but you have to have the talent, and he understood that. That's why he idolized Lee. He knew that Bahia Blanca hired someone with potential who could bring the soul of the craft to the front. And that's what it is. The soul of an ad agency is Lee Clow, and brings it to the front to care. And both of them had that idea that, hey, when you work at the best place, why would you want to go anywhere else? I mean, really could not understand that. It's a thing called loyalty. You look on LinkedIn now and you got staying somewhere 9 months, a year and a half, you know, loyalty to an idea, to a business, to a brand. It's like hen's teeth. But Jay understood that in a quizzical way. I mean, that thing from quotation from Chairman Jay said it all the time. You know, he'd be there, or he'd come back at night and there'd be nobody there. And you think, what's going on? He's here. Why isn't everybody else? Lee's staying late with Amy in the production studio. Where is everybody? When it comes down to it, the people who really care. Not because of money. I mean, Lee didn't really cash out for decades. I mean, he just believed in that place, and he decided he was taking it all the way to the bus line. His relationship with Eileen, absolute. It was going to be them or no one at all, and he's going to stay till the end, and he did. That integrity, that passion, that loyalty is rare, and it's beautiful. I'm loyal to everything that Chiat Day was. Absolutely loyal. This informs the way I do digital marketing, so-called. This is the way I do social marketing campaigns. This is the way I do investor decks. This is the way I do business strategies. This is the way I solve problems. I put it through the lens of the amazing people, all of them, at Chiat Day. But Jay, there's a reason it's called Chiat Day and not Day Clow or Day Chiat. It's Jay Chiat. Morton J. Chiat. Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow, we're going to go into the Rizzoli book and talk about clients and projects I haven't talked about before. Why? Because you need to hear this.